there is nothing I can do that can guarantee that this will be a hit. And I think in the moment when the world had stopped and the music's kind of off doing its own thing, it was just a big reminder that it is about the music. And
Right.
if people like a song, that isn't necessarily about me. So it doesn't matter if, it just takes the pressure off. I think it's not about me saying the right thing or the wrong thing in an interview, or me, encouraging people to listen to it in the right way or the wrong way. I think it's like you send your kid off to school and then, people are like, oh, everyone really liked your kid. And that's not me. You're obviously like really proud and happy that people like the kid. But
In other words,
that's kind of what
before
it feels like with music to me. I think it feels so like separate from you in a lot of ways. It kind of takes on a life of its own.
So what you learned in the pandemic really is all the hype, all the bullshit with the music industry, where you go out and you go to endless radio stations and you promote and blah 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 blah. Watermelon Sugar took off, and you did none of that. It was totally out of your control.
Yeah.
And yeah, you should do those things, and you want to get your music out there, and you want people to hear it. But at the end of the day, a good song is either people are either going to respond to it or not.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of things with that stuff. It's like, timing and, I mean, a ton of, there's so many things that are out of my control. I don't think I made that song big. I think we made that song and then people connected with it and it kind of just happened and like did its own thing. And that can be really like, you want to cling to the fact that it was me who did it, but it's really relaxing to go, it's not actually, it's just people liked it, I think. There was I'd played it to someone and they had a note on it and I trusted their opinion and I kind of, we kind of started going in to try and like dissect the song a bit too much. And I think what I love about it is it was written in a way like, oh, this just feels good. It doesn't necessarily, it's not like kind of scientifically made of trying to make a song. It just feels really nice. Right. And I think we tried to adjust a few times a section of the song and then kind of just came back to what it was originally. And then it was more, in terms of finishing, it was more about production. But the song was very much done. I mean, the original demo of it is basically the same to the song without like the horns and stuff. And that was written after, like right after the first album came out. Me and Mitch wrote it with my producers Tom and Tyler on a day off in Nashville on like our first tour. So it was kind
Isn't
of
that
like
crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that you wrote it like that and then you went? Can you fuck up a song really bad by overthinking it and then going into the studio and, like you say, tinkering with it? Because the demo at the end of the day ended up being the thing. The song was done.
Yeah, I think there's different levels to it. I think you can do it. I think sometimes, like, especially when you're trying to finish an album, you're working on a song in the context of just the song, and then you play it in the context of the entire album, and then there's like a bunch of other things that you want to change on it. But then you also have to kind of center back in the fact that you want to just focus on what it is as a song and what is right for the song. So it kind of takes on a whole new context when you're trying to, like put it in a sequence for an album and stuff. But I think with like, especially in like the mixing process and stuff, you can just tinker forever. Like you can move mixes up and down, and it's kind of trying to get like a bubble out of a waterbed. You can just kind of move it around, and then
so how do you know when a song is finished? In other words, like with painting, some painters overwork a painting.
Mm-hmm.
They ruin it. They actually have it, and then they keep looking at it and they ruin it. You could do that with songs. How do you know when a song is done and you just have to leave it alone and stop tinkering?
I think especially when you get down to like the small details of stuff, if you're listening to a mix and you're listening like for a certain drum hit or a certain guitar line, and you think like, let me check the level on this, you just hear it louder than it is anyway because you're like listening to it. So I think once like tinkering around a bunch, I think it's always been important for us to like take big ear breaks, and then come back to it. And I feel like when I can come back to it and listen to it, and nothing kind of jumps out at me, and there's nothing that makes me feel like I just want to change that, I just want to change that, and I can listen to it and just enjoy it, then it feels like it's finished.
I always had a question about this song, Medicine, that you do in concert.
Yeah.
It's a real crowd pleaser. Your audience loves it, and you never put it out on an album. How does that happen? When you got a song like Medicine, which is a good song, and you know it's a good song, you are proud of the song, you do it in concert. Why did you never put that on an album? That I don't understand.
I think it was one of the first songs that I wrote for my first album. We did it. That was me and Mitch as well. And I think when it came to putting the album together, I don't really know why. I think it was in the first like batch of stuff. And I think when we first started writing the album, it felt like I had a bunch of songs that sounded like Medicine, and then a bunch of songs that were kind of like an acoustic thing. And I think through the process of the album, I think like writing my first single, Sign of the Times, became like the bridge, because it didn't sound like either of those two things. And then from that gap, it felt like we found sonically what we wanted to do, it kind of in the gaps between those things. And I think Medicine just kind of, I don't really know why. I guess it just didn't quite make it to the finish line. And then, I mean, it's really fun to play live. We really like playing it.
So why not take Medicine and put it on the new album? That would have been an easy way to start, right? You know, the fans love it, and you put it on there, and it would be, you know, a monster hit. But I
think sonically it's just not really where I'm at anymore.
Right.
I think I really love the song, and I think I get kind of in my head about, like, if there's a song that didn't make an album before, I'm kind of like, well, if it didn't make that one, why would it make this one? Like, you know, and I think sometimes it can happen just because it kind of fits more on an album. And that happened with 2 songs on this album that were written around the same time as the last album. But I think in general, like, it just, you know, by the time we came to write this stuff, I think it feels older to me, and I just feel better about the stuff that we're making, I guess, in terms of what we're going to put out now. Like, I don't know that I'd go backwards in that way by kind of including like a much older song. Maybe it'll make it on an album someday.
Song like Medicine seems to be really important to people who either want to come out of the closet, I'm talking about, or are having trouble with, you know, being accepted for their sexuality. Is that a fair statement, you think?
I'd say, yeah, there's definitely a part of it in there, yeah.
And isn't there something sort of fabulous about your live shows where these kids come and they feel like they want to come out of the closet? They say that a lot of kids who come to your shows, suddenly, I don't know what it is, they get the confidence or the wherewithal to say, fuck it, I'm going to live my life authentically. That's sort of a beautiful aspect to your career, that you can make people feel comfortable enough to come out of the closet, because I don't think there's anything sadder in this life than someone who can't live their life authentically.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think like it's definitely, I'd say, feeling like there's a space where people feel safe enough to kind of share, to, I guess, have those big moments, and obviously share them with a room full of people, and share them with us in a way, is you know, probably one of the things I'm most proud of. I think in, you know, again, in a lot of ways, like I actually don't think that is as much about me as it maybe seems. I think the room, the atmosphere that I feel is created in the room of the shows that we do is this kind of like free, incredibly like emotionally generous atmosphere. And it's kind of one of the things that I feel like when people come and see a show, it's one of the first, two things that people comment on is, I've just never been in an atmosphere like that. It just feels so like safe. It's like a room, it's like a family full of strangers who are all kind of feeling this like free evening, and it's kind of an escape. And I think like the fans create that atmosphere more so than me. I think they have obviously created that for me to feel
Yeah,
like
but you're the
I
lightning
can.
rod, Harry. I mean, because you're willing to go up on stage and dress the way you want to. You're not
Mm,
dressing in a traditional male way. You sort of gender bending the look and singing about things that perhaps encourage that freedom. I mean,
mm.
you're the catalyst for that.
I mean,
Um,
I'd say like I wouldn't say I was a catalyst. I'd say I was more of a mirror because I think I only have that space on stage to feel kind of free enough to be whoever I am because I think it's an environment that both the fans and the people in my life, my friends, have created for me to feel like I can be whoever I want. And
Do you get shit still for that? The way you dress? Do people attack you for that? And do you know if
um,
you're dressing in a more feminine way, or do people give you crap, or has it become accepted?
I
Because
mean, I mean, not anywhere that I would see it. I don't think. I'm not
right.
like on some deep like weird forums or anything. So.
But don't you think there's some weird shit going down in this country right now, where a lot of rights, not just a woman's right to
Yeah,
choose, but there's some weird vibe going on where there's a backlash. I
yeah.
could see gay
I think
marriage
it's.
going out the window. I could see a lot of this shit disappearing. Some of the freedoms that people have been enjoying.
Yeah, I think there is, for a while, and in some places in our culture, like we've been going in. There's a lot of people who are taking, I think, the right steps to try and make positive things happening, and I think obviously people who don't like that are kind of clawing to grapple back any ground that they feel like they've lost, which never belonged to them in the first place. And I think,
Right.
I think the thing really is like, I think any time that I just don't think anyone should be able to make decisions about anyone else's body. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I think there's a level of obviously what's happening here in the country at the moment is I don't really know where that ends. Like, at that point, is it, someone needs an operation and someone can decide that they can't have it. And it makes no sense to me. And it's just so backwards. I think it's kind of, I think we live in a world where we feel like we're always making the right steps. And there's a lot of people who are taking positive steps, and I think it's quite scary to see kind of like just how far backwards we're going in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's there should be backlash and uproar for these things.
One of the things about your live show, which is so great, you really interact with fans. They love you. You clearly are having a good time up there. At least if it's an illusion, then I'm buying into it. It just seems like you're
Mhm.
really celebrating with your fans. That that you have a genuine love for live performing. And I was thinking about guys like you. I don't know if you saw the. I'm sure you did when Will Smith got up at the Academy Awards,
Mm.
smacks Chris Rock. You have fans, they throw everything up on the stage, and not in a bad way. It's kind of like fun. They'll throw their cell phone to you, and they'll throw a flag up, or they'll do whatever it is. Did that send a chill through your spine when you saw that? As a person who performs live, it it freaked me the fuck out.